Well, I'm going to title this video "Vladimir Putin for World Peace" with a question mark. Um, I know a lot of people that are fans of Vladimir Putin. They say, yeah, he's definitely for world peace. But also know behind the scenes, there's been long-range plans whereby Russia or the Soviet Union fell apart on purpose. It was a long-range, decades-long plan that Germany would be reunited again after a period of 40 years. That was even stated way back when it was split. If you studied Major Anatoly Golitsyn, former KGB, who defected in 1961, you would know these things. And he wrote books later on called New Lies for Old and Perestroika Deception. Actually, not a book, but a series of collection of memoranda to the CIA that have been uncannily accurate over the years. Now, this map is just a map of oil reserves in the world, and you can see where the oil reserves are, basically in Saudi Arabia, Iran. Actually, Iran has they're number two in natural gas. Russia being number one in natural gas. That's another thing too. I left that out because that would be a different chart. But per square mile, Iran has got per capita too. Oh, they would be number one in natural gas because they have the second highest reserves in the world, but in a much, much more concentrated area. Russia being having the most natural gas reserves in the world. Now, if we look at what's been going on recently, what's been really hurting Russia, their economy and their military expansion and their ruble currency, it's been the fact that the price of oil has been reduced drastically due to, well, you could say it's because of, global demand is down, but, global demand has been down longer than that. I think they made a deal with Saudi Arabia and to drive the price down to basically hurt Russia, to hurt their military expansion. Now, on one side, you could be thinking, well, maybe that's a good thing because they don't want Russia to get too big and all this kind of garbage can lead to World War III or something. Maybe, if you're of that opinion. But here's my, take on this too. If you want to look at it from another angle, and this is one thing I never can figure out. Russia didn't try to do this, and I know it's not that simple for me just saying it. But if there was a major conflict in the Middle East, especially between Iran and Saudi Arabia, that would take, so much oil off the market that Russia's oil would be worth that much more, and they'd be able to vastly expand their military because they'd be filling up their coffers with the exports of oil, the cash they get from it. Plus, on top of that, their currency would be worth that much more. The ruble would go up vastly, much higher in worth, okay? Because the ruble is tied to oil and natural gas and commodities. But, if there's a war between if there's a war between Saudi, and Saudi got taken out somehow, or they got knocked out, some of the oil refineries got knocked out, Russia would be rolling in cash. And, yeah, that would bring back our freaking shale oil industry again, too. But, Russia would, it's like them being so highly dependent upon the oil export market and natural gas market. That's like, they're, like one thing Senator McCain says, they're a big gas station. It's true, they are. They kind of are a big gas station. And when the price of oil is down, they just can't do what the hell they need to do. Putin wants to he wants to vastly increase the size of the military. Now, I'm not saying that's a good thing, but on the other side, I was thinking of this: is he really, you would think he really is for peace in some ways because, well, maybe you want to say in a lot of ways, because to me, the fastest route to getting the money to expand the military is to get the oil prices raised a lot higher globally. And the fastest way to do that is to create a conflict in the Middle East that takes some of that oil supply off the market. Anything, to start any kind of situation there would be to the benefit of Russia. And it seems like they're not trying to do that. It seems like actually we're trying to do that here in the United States. And, I look at this situation, it seems, well, I can't really guarantee what the hell's going on in Putin's head. I don't know. I have absolutely no idea. But It's a matter of the situation when you just analyze it with cold facts. For instance, when you're looking at this map of the well, we'll call it the Middle East. I know that's a misnomer. That was a term that came about because of the type of trade that there was going on with the West Indies, the Far East, and this was the Middle East. But I don't know. That's just what we call it over here in the West, the Middle East. Whatever the hell that means. But anyway, um, if Russia was actually to create a situation whereby, and they're not doing it though. That's the thing. It's like we're doing this. Whereby a good portion of the oil coming out of Saudi or Iraq or whatever is just taken off the markets. Well, their oil would be worth that much more, but they don't seem to be sticking their nose too much in the Middle East at all. Not in the least. It's like we are. And, but you know what? I think where the situation is going. Um, Russia does have a lot of weapons behind the curtain, if you want to put it that way. The curtain, yeah, the Iron Curtain. There's no Iron Curtain anymore, but they do have a lot of hidden weapons. And I do know, like I've been reading for actually probably more than 20 years now, that they've been concentrating more on sophisticated weapons versus conventional forces. Because that's really what you need. You need the right stuff to do the job. It's not like you need the manpower necessarily. You need the right stuff to do the job. Now, when they had this conflict here recently with Syria against ISIS, it was pretty obvious, showcase display that Russia's weapon systems were far more advanced than people expected over here in the United States. Like cruise missiles had a lot further range. Their attack helicopters are a lot better. Discipline of the troops is pretty good. Now, I know back during the time when they had a Georgia conflict, some of their planes got shot down by fairly unsophisticated surface-to-air missiles. But since that time, they vastly, retrained their Air Force, whereby their pilots got a lot more flying time because in comparison to NATO, the Russian pilots don't get much flying time at all. But I think they do have some secret weapons, and in the case of the United States, if we ever got into a conflict with Russia, and I don't think Russia is looking for this, but it looks like the United States is trying to back Putin into a corner and break up Russia. I can tell you that right now. I think that's what's going on. And I don't think they're going to be able to do that because the way I read Putin is way too disciplined. He's not going to freaking fall. He's not going to cave. He's not going to cave. He's not going to freaking get knuckle under. I know that, and it's not like I'm being a fan of Putin here, but I'm just telling you the reality of the situation. He's not going to knuckle under. He's not going to fall apart. He's not a limp wristed, yo-yo that just got in there because of popular votes. He's got a strong military background. He's got a lot of discipline. He's got discipline, personal discipline, just from studying judo, right? And learning things in the military, which carries over to the political arena. He's got plenty of discipline. He's not going to knuckle under. What's going to happen is we're probably the policies that are being pursued by the West. And I don't want to be critical of the West because I am in the West, and it's my country and all this bullshit. But I can say all this bullshit, but you know what I mean. It's like I just don't want to be critical of the area I'm from. But obviously, I think they're making a damn big mistake because what they're going to do is they're going to push this guy into a corner and he's going to strike back. Now, I can tell you one thing where I think that, and I think World War III is actually in the cards. I don't think Putin's necessarily going to start it, but he's gonna put a hurt on whoever starts it, or even if they make him look like he started it, he's going to put a hurt locker on him big time. And I got to say one thing where we got a major problem with our military strategy is we're looking back into the past too much. Like the aircraft carrier forces, task forces are great. I know they're protected by the Aegis missile system against incoming missiles, but if you freaking launch 500 missiles at once, it's going to be overwhelmed. That system will be overwhelmed. But you can't lose even one aircraft carrier. You can't have one aircraft carrier hit by one freaking, even a small missile, because there'll be a chain reaction of explosives in that aircraft carrier, and the whole damn thing will just go up. It is so expensive that it's something that just can't be replaced, and it's almost like a big fat target, akin to what the battleships were back in World War One or World War Two. Excuse me, in World War Two. World War One, the battleships did play a major role. In World War Two, they played a major role, but the aircraft carrier was the thing. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. It may be the submarine force, but it probably might just be the drone and missile force too, which is something also the West has. But I think the Russians actually have a lot of weapons systems behind the scenes. I don't think Putin is really anxious to get involved in any kind of world conflict. He just wants a strong Russia. He wants Russia to be. He would like Russia to be the number one nation in the world. I know that, but he's not looking for World War III. I don't think even if you go back to the original planners in the KGB, which he was a member of the KGB, I don't think they're looking for destruction. They're looking for a takeover. In other words, do as we say. If the United States collapses financially, they might issue an ultimatum or something. But they're not looking to start a conflict. Not at all. I don't think so. No, I don't think that's what they want to do. They want to be on the number one dog. I know that, but they're not looking to freaking start a conflict. That's always been the case with Russia. But it looks like conflicts in the cards. It's like definitely in the cards for sure, because the policies, unfortunately, the policies in the West are looking to try to strangle Russia. Through the oil industry is part of it, the oil prices, but also by surrounding Russia with, missile systems and different things like that. It's like, I wish I was, I hope Trump gets in, because I can tell you right now, I don't think he'd be doing that kind of shit. I know Hillary Clinton would. Hillary Clinton even referred to Vladimir Putin as Adolf Hitler. Now, actually, I think I referred to him as Adolf Hitler in one video too, but I was just really more directing that at the people that just worship Vladimir Putin as a god. I don't worship Vladimir Putin as a god. The guy is a dictator. I recognize that. I recognize that he's not necessarily he's not this, huggy-feely teddy bear that some of the Russian people think he is, maybe. I don't know if they all think that or not, but he's not somebody that you mess with, that's for sure. But I could tell you that's the same damn thing with a lot of any leader that's out there. But that's just par for the course. Anybody that's in that type of position for that long is not Mr. Nice Guy, you know what I mean? But he's not looking for World War III. He's not. I could almost guarantee that. But the problem is that it looks like it's in the cards, because the way they're being bottlenecked through the oil prices and other things that are going on by, how they're being bottlenecked even by the military. And also even, I don't know, some of the policies even going on in the Middle East, so in other words, they're trying to blame Russia on different things, like that going on. And it's like, I don't think they're necessarily involved with it, but whatever, man, whatever. But I think it's a major miscalculation by some people in the West. Now, obviously, if Trump gets in, Trump I ain't sure about, tell you the truth. He's not necessarily what you call a conservative, and he's not a liberal, but he's kind of like a semi-liberal. I could call him that. But he's not going to, I think he's going to be more concentrating on business and not giving a damn about all the bullshit as far as the politics, Let's all just make money. And Putin would go along with that, I'm pretty sure. But as far as, what's the way I think it's going to play out, we're definitely heading into World War III one way or the other, and I don't think Putin wants this to happen. But the problem is, if it happens, he is going to kick some ass. I'm not rooting for him here, because when he kicks some ass, it's going to be overcoming on my way, and I don't need that kind of shit. But he probably is going to kick some freaking ass. There's no doubt about it, because the Russian military, I don't want to say Ivan's like 10 feet tall and all this kind of garbage, but, on this other side of it is the Russian military has a lot of true military training, whereas in the United States, I can tell you honestly that I don't want to put anybody down in the military, but it's like I know, like everybody in Russia doesn't train really great too. I know that. I mean, there's a lot of people in the Russian army. You see Specnats, and they're like, oh yeah, they're doing all this wonderful shit. And then probably the average Russian army, they're kind of like the homeless drunks. The homeless drunks. But the thing is, they know how to freaking survive without too much. They're used to that. They can rustle up a chicken and cook it or some shit. Whereas our guys are not necessarily used to that as much as, let's grab some MREs, instead of that kind of garbage. Or, they maybe wouldn't be able to survive out in the field as good. There's pluses and minuses to each side. The Americans generally would be smarter, but a lot of times the Russians, I think, would be more hardy out in the field on the average. And, that being said, that they'd be a very tough adversary. And if something like this did happen, the United States would completely freaking cease to exist because not only would there just not be one aircraft carrier knocked out, there'd probably be more than a few, probably most of them, due to nuclear weapons. And I don't think Putin's looking to do this, but it's going to wind up happening that way. Now, I put videos out on this before. I don't want to put, notice how I'm putting this out. I'm being almost lighthearted about this bullshit. But you know what? I think it's coming up pretty damn soon. And, the one obvious thing is that if Russia really was looking to start World War III, now I think Russia, like with Putin, definitely wants to be number one. And there's no doubt about it. Everybody wants to be number one, no matter who they are, to tell you the truth, right? Sometimes people say Japan wants to be number one. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they do. Yeah, well, if you live in Japan long enough, I can tell you one thing. They got an attitude where they think they're number one. No matter where you are, man, they think that wherever the place is, they think they're number one. That's how it is. It depends on who you concentrate on, right? It could be in various countries in the Middle East. They think they're number one. But in the case of having the stuff to back up that they are number one, Russia would be the strongest one after the United States. But, if the United States makes a few bad decisions, it may not be that way because I think some of the weapon systems that we got here in the United States they're designed more for fighting these type of wars whereby you got to deploy a force against a smaller nation, or to take care of internal problems. I know you're not supposed to be doing that, but like in other words, the carrier task force is great, and the Marine Expeditionary Force is great for the type of missions that are going on today. But if there was a major world war between Russia and the United States, or Russia and China versus the United States, the carrier task force would cease to exist, along with all that military hardware, cruise missiles, and the expert personnel, pilots, and planes. And you know what? None of that stuff can be replaced that quick. No way in hell. We'd be screwed. So I don't think, Putin is looking to do this, but unfortunately, our policymakers currently at this very moment are kind of boxing him in. And they're making a freaking grave mistake. The one thing that could possibly make us avoid this stuff is, I think, Donald Trump. That guy is not going to freaking try to start World War III. Although there's a lot of people that will, that despite him, even if he won the election, Donald Trump is not going to try to start World War III. Hillary Clinton, definitely. No doubt about it. But if that happens, if Trump gets in, I can't really guarantee nothing because there's a lot of forces out there that probably want to kill him. And, I don't want that to happen. It's like what happened the last time we had a great president that was, he wasn't perfect. JFK. JFK missing. I could say some things bad about him. But, he was very, very good. I don't like how he handled the Cuban Missile Crisis because basically he took our missiles out of Turkey. And also I don't like what the hell he did not supporting that landing at the Bay of Pigs in Cuba. I would have freaking gave him all the air support in the world, man. I don't give a shit. I would have gave him like a submarine too, shooting some stuff at the other guys. They would have took over Cuba, no problem. But as far as I don't mind taking over countries, you know, but you got to be free in this country. It's kind of how I look at it. I'm not too bad with the colonism. I'm not too bad off with that. But it sounds evil. But what the hell? I'm sorry. That's how I think. I'm not trying to tell you something that you don't want to hear. I'm telling you what I think. I'm okay with some of the colonism. If we take over the place, no problem. As long as after we take it over, the people got some pretty good freedoms. Like kind of like that's the Roman model. Once we take it over, we take a little cut. We don't, and then we let the people do what the hell they want. That's all there is. We just take a little cut, and that's it. Then it's not too bad. But as far as Vlad actually trying to start World War III, nah, no. But the way it's going to come out, the way things are going, yeah, World War III is freaking definitely on the rise, and Vlad is going to wind up. It's like I don't want him to kick ass because you know why? Because I'm going to be on the receiving end. I don't want him to kick ass, but he is going to kick ass, man. He's going to kick ass. I'm not kissing his ass by saying that. He's going to kick ass. This guy's got to, despite the Russians not having as much probably on paper. Well, you know what? Actually, to tell you the truth, they got more nukes than the United States probably. They probably do. And their shit's a lot more updated. Now, but as far as other things that are on paper, I don't think they have as much on paper. They have a lot of tanks and stuff, and but a lot of their equipment though is more simple and rugged, and the damn shit just works. The problem is with some of the U.S. equipment, it's too computerized, and I don't like that kind of shit. To tell you the truth, I'd rather have it more manual. Shit works all the time, but. I honestly think this is in a rise, and the Western media is going to be saying, Putin started. I don't know, I hope Trump gets in and nothing happens to him, and because I think that's the only shot we have at avoiding World War III. Donald Trump. I'm going to tell you honestly, he's not going to start World War III, not in a million years, but. The other side of it is, I don't even know if he's going to last. I hate to say that, man, because I don't want it to happen because I'm thinking it. But, how horrible the freaking powers are behind the scenes is that, they couldn't stand JFK. They got rid of him. It's like we can't have a populist president. And the Secret Service is not doing their damn job in a lot of ways because they're too worried about this one guy. Who the hell was he? One guy in the Trump campaign said that Hillary Clinton should be executed for treason. Well, she should be. You know what I mean? What are you, blind? Are you stupid or what? They're actually doing an investigation on this guy. In the meantime, we got all kinds of people out there on the libtard areas in the social media calling for the execution of Trump, assassination of Trump. And they're getting away with it like nothing's happening to them. Now, the other guy that was in the Trump team that said about Hillary Clinton being treasonous, well, that is something. That is something. She's found guilty of treason. That's an executable offense. She is guilty of treason, for crying out loud. But that doesn't mean he's going to assassinate her or anything like that. He's not saying that at all. But, it's amazing that Secret Service gets all bent out of shape about that. But not bent out of shape about all the threats that have been going on to Donald Trump, right? Which tells you that I fear for this guy's life, and then if something happens with Trump, we're on our way to World War III. And guess who's going to win that shit? Russia. I hate to say that, because I don't want that to happen. I'd rather, despite all the bullshit that's going on over here, I live over here in the United States. I don't want to lose, okay? But I can tell you right now, the shit is so corrupt. Russia's corrupt too. I know that, but everywhere's corrupt. But the problem is, we've actually gotten a lot softer in the United States, and that is one of the main things that is going to affect the outcome of how this would happen in the future if we had a world war. The United States is a hell of a lot softer. The Russian people. They could probably handle a lot better. Plus they got all these underground cities. We don't, We do it for the elite guys, not for the regular population. Over in Moscow, they got whole cities underneath Moscow. They'll have the whole freaking town go underground for crying out loud. And most of them be safe. Over here, no, no, no. So, I don't know if I really wanted to put this video out or not, but I really titled it is does Vladimir Putin is a man of peace? He is a man of peace, basically. If he wanted to freaking start World War III, he could have started a long time ago. I know there's a theory out there that the Russians are biding their time, but I don't think World War III is something they want. They want to be number one, and they would like to be so strong number one that they could give the United States an ultimatum: do as we say or else. But they're not looking to actually start nothing, because when you start a war, you lose a lot of money. You lose real estate. You lose all the infrastructure that you could be using that somebody else built up. You lose all that economic output from another nation that's already there. You lose all that. You don't want that to happen. But it looks like I hate to say it, man. It looks like the West is actually freaking going to be the one that's pushing to World War III more than Russia. And like I said, I ain't a fan of Russia or Putin or anything like that, but I'm just kind of making an observation here. And unless, of course, Trump gets in and he survives that whole term, because I think that guy is going to be the one that's actually going to stop World War III. But you know what? That's kind of still a wild card, because we got such a rotten entrenched system that's been going on for so long. It's going to be pretty tough for one man to stop all that bullshit, even with a dedicated team around him. So I don't know. Food for thought. Food for thought. Thrive and survive, hopefully. But looks like we're coming up to some tough times, and I don't quite, like I said, I don't buy into the stuff that the alternative media puts out, because, like, I know the alternative media is like 110% anti-U.S. government, and they're like 100% pro-Putin to the max. And, I'm not that way, okay? But I could say that Vladimir Putin really has no interest in starting World War III. Now, because even if he was just looking to boost his economy, it would be in his interest to knock out some of the oil supply in the Middle East by having some kind of conflict start there that would knock out some of the oil refineries, so his nation could be enriched. And it looks like he's pretty much having a hands-off policy on that garbage too. So, he's biding his time, and they're trying to get him out of power, but he ain't gonna get out of power. Guarantee you that. Putin is a tough mofo. They ain't gonna get him out. And I'm not saying that because I'm kissing his ass. I just recognize that as a fact. Putin is a lot tougher than Kerry, Secretary of State Kerry, Hillary Clinton, and Obama combined. And, maybe, I don't know what Trump would be like in toughness, but Trump is not going to try to antagonize this guy. He's going to wheel and deal with him, and Russia and the United States are going to make money. That's what's going to happen. And I think Putin would be absolutely fine with that. You know what I mean? He'd be absolutely fine with that. No, wouldn't care in the least. And let's hopefully that's what's in the cards. But in the back of my mind, I feel that is a long shot. And I'm not just being negative about that. It's just that realizing just how screwed up shit really is. It really is a long shot that I think Trump's going to get in. But I don't know if he's going to be able to last 4 years in here, man. I don't know. I hate to say that, because I don't want nothing to happen to him, but it seems like something's... it's too good to be true. You know what I mean? Over and out.